Welcome to In Touch with Tinley, a video exchange program that gives a behind-the-scenes look at how village government operates. Today we're happy to welcome Patrick Hoban, the Economic Development Manager for the Village of Tinley Park, who will give us an Economic Development 101 presentation. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome. My name is Patrick Hoban and I'm your Economic Development Manager for the Village of Tinley Park. Started economic development here in Tinley back in February of 2017 and things are looking very well. Today we're going to talk about Economic Development 101, how we do what we do, and hopefully shed a little bit of light on what you don't know. Because whenever I started this, I always heard it was a great buzz term, economic development. It's all about creating jobs, but didn't really know all the players and the processes behind on what it takes to make a project happen. First off, what is economic development? I like to interpret it as economics is the efficient allocation of scarce resources. Economic development is the development of those resources. A little bit about me. How did I get into economic development? My background is in real estate development, and then I got into advertising. So the combination of being able to sell my ideas and sell real estate ended up leading to sell the entire community. My educational background, I have an organizational leadership bachelor's from Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. I'm also an economic development finance professional from the National Development Council. Then I went through the Economic Development Institute at Oklahoma University and then became a certified economic developer from the International Economic Development Council. Now, who do we do economic development for? There's actually 4 different categories. One of them are our local businesses. Without our businesses, we are not going to have any jobs and have no economic development viability. The other one are the residents. The residents are the ones that are going to shop in our local businesses. Also for our workforce. Some people don't know it, but a lot of the workforce in Tinley Park doesn't actually live in Tinley Park. And then a lot of our residents don't work in Tinley Park, but they actually work in Chicago. Then also a big one that works for Tinley Park are the visitors. We make a lot of outside money from visitors coming in for our amphitheater, all the hotels, and also just for Chicagoland in general. Here's the pyramid. I'm going to try to explain the 12 different steps that it's going to take to do economic development. From the very bottom, we start with infrastructure and we work our way up through workforce development, onto business retention expansion, and finally end up at that golden shovel. Those 12 categories can be break down into 3 separate groups. We have resource development, business development, and prospect development. First, we're going to start off with resource development, where you have infrastructure, workforce development, neighborhood development, and brownfield cleanups. Infrastructure is by far the most important thing you can do when it comes to economic development. Think about it, back in the day, it all started with the railroads, and then you had the roads, and then water followed after that. Now, some of the most important things that you can have infrastructure-wise comes to have gas and sewer, and then also nowadays, the really important thing is to have fiber, which luckily we do have here in Tinley Park. Some people see a vacant piece of land and say, hey, that's a great place where a business could go. Well, there's a difference between having land and a site. A site will have the infrastructure where land is just green grass. We do have some green grass in town, but more likely we have a lot of land on the outskirts. Partners in this include ComEd, NICOR, the village itself, and the rail. We're very lucky to have the metro station with 2 stops go through Tinley Park. That is huge when it comes for workforce, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Whenever we're looking at connecting this and improving, I really think it's a good step if we could really focus on the infrastructure of fiber. Like I said, fiber is here, but also the state of Illinois made a very good investment in something called the Illinois Century Network, which is the ICN. If we could link up our fiber with the ICN and connect it to our schools, it will lower the cost of connectivity for not only us, but also our schools and eventually our businesses. Next on the list, whatever you got water, whatever you have sewer, if you don't have people, if you don't have the workforce, you're not going to be able to do any deals and do any kind of development. Luckily, Tinley Park is blessed with a wonderful workforce. I'd say it's the #1 trait that we have: great workers, great community. When it comes to workforce development, the village works very closely with our community college and other local colleges to develop programs to find out what our businesses need in order to grow when it comes to skills. We match them up with the skills and programs that our local community colleges can create in order to develop the workforce. One idea that we don't have here in Tinley Park is a program that's called Career Coach. Career Coach is a great online program that our local community colleges could use that will actually show the available jobs that we have here in Tinley Park and the surrounding areas and what classes you can take at those community colleges in order to get those jobs. It'll show the projections of jobs, whether they plan to go up or down, what the current openings are, and those salary ranges. Okay, neighborhood development team. This is a very important team when it comes to quality of life and also quality of place, because the more beautiful your community is, the more people you're going to attract to it. I like to say that beauty is a right. And our marketing department does a very good job when it comes to marketing what we have here and also encouraging community involvement. Different programs such as our Benches on the Avenue and our now recently new branded Life Amplified. That music is in our DNA. So letting people know what we have to offer and showing that off, and possibly even working forward on maybe some more landscaping and beautification efforts in town will even boost that further. Oh, and one more thing I have to throw in about neighborhood development, I've been getting a lot of requests for splash pads. So this may be something we can partner with our park district and working on splash pads because again, the adults, they like seeing the benches, the kids like the benches, but we really are a family-oriented community, and if we can get some splash pads in here, it's one more idea. Brownfield. We just talked about beautification. Now we're going to talk about the other side of it, which are known as brownfields. Brownfields are anywhere that you see in town that have been vacant for a little while. And I know there's a major one in town that we passed quite a bit, about 280 acres right in the middle that we'd like to see cleaned up in the Tinley Park Mental Health Center. These are opportunities and a really easy way to develop Tinley Park. If you can go around and find all the beautiful areas, those are our strengths. Our weaknesses are the ones or opportunities for improvement that we can work together in. We have quite a few of these around town, but the biggest one really is the Tinley Park Mental Health Center. Luckily for us, we've got good connections at the state of Illinois, and we're working with them closely in order to what we can do to clean that area up. When it comes to the team that works on that, you have your village, the employees, the developers, the environmental attorneys, the EPA, and the Illinois EPA. There are still federal dollars that are out there that can help clean these up. Listening to some of our citizens, some of the ideas that they had would possibly be to add solar panels and focus on green energy when it comes to some of the areas and cleaning up some brownfields that we have here in town. The next section, we're going to jump into the business development area, where we're going to focus on business retention and expansion, foreign direct investment, small business development, and tech transfer, and then also end with entrepreneurship. The next section is the business retention and expansion team. And there's a lot of people involved when it comes to this. We're going to rely heavily on our Chamber of Commerce, the village, ComEd, the community colleges, the state of Illinois, and our Workforce Investment Board. The goal of a BR&E team is to go out and check the temperature of our local businesses. We first of all want to say thank you for doing business in Tinley Park. We also want to know if you plan on growing. If not, why not? Are the tools not there? If so, we want to be able to give you the tools, the financing options, talk about local incentives, state incentives, and federal incentives that all the bigger companies know about, but maybe our mom and pops don't. So if we can get the feedback from our local businesses and find out what they need to grow, we can all grow together. Another big portion of this is also to find out from our local businesses who their suppliers and their buyers are. Because whenever we're going out trying to sell Tinley Park to new companies, having a list of suppliers and buyers from our local companies really cuts costs for everyone logistically. So if we can bring them in, it gives us a targeted list to go out and sell Tinley Park together. The next one on the list is foreign direct investing, but also our export development team. Personnel on this are your Village of Tinley Park, our regional groups, which we work with the Mayors and Managers Association, and also the state of Illinois. Now, when it comes to selling Tinley Park, we're also selling the Chicago market. I would say we're going to market regionally and sell locally. A lot of people know Chicago, and luckily for us, we're only 30 minutes away from downtown. How we do this is through site tours, logistic development, trade missions, and overall sales in general. So whenever we can get our foreign consulates who are downtown to come out to Tinley Park to see all that we have to offer, this is how we can really generate some foreign direct investment. The next section is our small business development and tech transfer team. The goal of the tech transfer team is to bring the latest and greatest best practices that are out there in any industry and teach classes. Now, our Chamber of Commerce does a very good job of this in their monthly business breakfast. They'll have a speaker that will talk about different ideas that they have and how they execute them. Other ones are IMEC, SCORE counselors, and the local library has a lot of tools and different videos that you can watch and tutorials. I think Linda is one of the subscriptions that they have. Tech transfer is a great way to grow from within. Different ways that we can do this are having individual lectures, having roundtables, also talk about creating programs, and then individual mentoring, which goes back to SCORE counseling. Right now, I don't believe Tinley Park has a SCORE program, but this is something I would love to partner with another organization to bring SCORE counselors to Tinley Park. That's where you match up an entrepreneur or a current business with a retired business executive. And they work one-on-one on either marketing efforts, social media, finance, project management, just to kind of have your own mentor. Everybody needs a coach, and it's another great way to grow from within. Next section on the list is the Entrepreneurship Team. This one is near and dear to my heart because it's always exciting to see a new business. A lot of people have great ideas, but they don't really know how to get into the marketplace. This is a great way that we could also leverage the SCORE concept, our library, but most importantly, our community colleges. Some of our community colleges have great makerspace labs where you can walk in with an idea and actually print out a prototype. After you have that prototype, it'd be nice to match you up with a SCORE counselor that could show you how to sell that prototype. The big plays on this are going to come from individual mentoring, having an incubator in Tinley Park where you could walk in with an idea and actually create that idea and see it come to fruition. Also having the courses and technical assistance. Now we are known for music, so a music incubator might be a really cool concept to have a place where you can learn how to play music, sell musical instruments, produce. I mean, this would be a great nonprofit partnership with either our Chamber of Commerce, the library, or once again, I'm going to lean on our community colleges because workforce is such an important factor that someone could come in with an idea, we can welcome outside musicians and really boost the music industry in Tinley Park. The next one is the most visible one that everybody sees and hears about. This is the prospect development side. Inside that, we've got our marketing and our sales, our deal making, real estate development and reuse, and finally the finance and credit analysis. Marketing and sales team. This is the one that's going to go out, have the pieces, head out to Las Vegas, sell to all the different real estate professionals that are there. We're looking at our Chamber of Commerce, the Village of Tinley Park, the counties do it, our regional groups, and even the state of Illinois now with Intersect Illinois goes out and sells Illinois to the rest of the world. How we do this is through advertising, publicity, through our groundbreaking efforts, individual promotional materials, sales themselves, just one-on-one calls, the website, our GIS system, and social media. The goal of the marketing sales team is to go out and meet with individual prospects, but after we meet with them, we want to get them back in town. And we do what's called a FAM tour, which is a familiarization tour. That's where we drive them around town, show them the vacant buildings and what different ideas they can implement into those buildings. We've had probably 6 or 7 of those so far, and the leads are looking pretty good. Next is our real estate development and reuse team. This is where we get our architects, attorneys, contractors, engineers, developers, realtors, equity investors, business owners, lenders, property managers, and the village. That's why I think everyone doesn't really understand what's involved with economic development because there's a huge team behind the scenes that makes all these projects happen. Without them, none of it's going to happen. The plays through this are going to involve pre-development meetings, feasibility studies, site and engineering analysis, the financing itself, contractor negotiations, construction, marketing of the project, and then building occupancy management. Sometimes we'll have projects come in which don't actually have a business in them. They're brand new. One of them is going to be a 300,000 square foot spec building. This is a spec building, so it is a project, but in the end, we're going to put prospects in it, which goes back to the sales side. So every one of these projects is related. The finance team. This is very important to get the ball across the finish line whenever it comes to economic development and where most businesses need the most help. The personnel for this are going to be your village, the counties, your SBA lenders, the state of Illinois, and the feds all have programs. There's a variety of incentive programs. Luckily in Tinley Park, we have a couple TIF districts that could help out, along with some sales tax sharing that could happen for retailers. Plays would be running credit analysis, economic impact analysis, running the incentives themselves, and also keeping an eye out for grants. The state of Illinois has grants that come and go. They have incentive programs that come and go. And at the Village, we pay very close attention to what's available so we can match you up through our BR&E visits to what incentives are currently available to help your business grow. And then last but not least, the deal makers themselves. So this is going to be your businesses, your chamber, the village, developers, the counties, the realtors, the site selectors, the regional group, and the state. Once we have them in, once we have the finance done, we have to walk them through the process. It's all one team effort to get everyone across the finish line. Once we have everybody there, it comes to marketing the buildings, selling the buildings, the technical assistance needed to make it happen, and then it's the overall project management. But I think the most important thing in the end when it comes to deal makers is going to be telling our story. That's where the PR component comes into groundbreakings. Many times in Tinley Park, we have plenty of projects that are happening and ongoing, and you read about them, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just drive by one day and you see a brand new building, or you see a new tenant. But if we can work closely with our Chamber of Commerce, we're going to be able to have more groundbreakings, more ribbon cuttings, and we'll have the ability to tell our story in Tinley Park. Now, the goal of all of this was to cram every single section into a really short period of time. We're going to follow up with individual videos on each one of these sections to get into more detail. If you have any questions about any of these, call 708-444-5110. I'd be more than happy to meet with you one-on-one to talk about economic development in Tinley Park.